Welcome to Global Business with Mahesh Joshi. We're going to have a very interesting discussion in this segment where we're going to address the most pressing question of the current times in the modern environment where it's digital age in play. How do you run your business? How do you run your company in this age where you have enormous data being poured on you and you have distractions from almost anywhere and everywhere, any direction you can think of? So I have the right person who can really help us to get an insight on this topic, Mr. Gaurav Rastogi, himself a corporate yogi. So he's going to discuss with us the importance of aligning the various critical success factors, rather what you call success factors, to get the performance and at the same time be satisfied, be energized. So how do you align your capabilities? It could be personal capabilities, technical capabilities, some subject matter expertise with more important part of a human being. What about spirituality? What about getting focused on things? How about delivering performance? And all of this in the age of distractions. So Gaurav, you talked very nicely about the man on the mountain, the leader. And we have spoken about time. What next? What should one as a leader focus on? What should he or she do correctly?
I'm going to talk about cultivation of the heart, which is a intensely spiritual practice. And we don't get taught about this when we were, being raised in our corporate careers. Cultivation of the heart is possibly the most important thing a leader could do for themselves, their families, and also for their companies. When someone is a bold leader, you say they have a big heart, or they're courageous, or they're fearless. When someone is able to lead their teams, you say they led with their heart. When someone delivers a great sales pitch, or a great investor pitch, or a great pitch period, you say it came from the heart. Cultivating the heart is possibly the most intense and important personal practice, which is a spiritual practice that a business leader should take up. You can experience that as passion, sure. In fact, the word enthusiasm itself means to be filled with God in Greek. So that's passion, which is to be enthusiastic. But to be filled with God is another way of saying that your heart is connected to the ultimate source of everything. So from the yoga side, let me just sort of let you into this secret. The brain is a very low source of energy. What I mean by that is, if you and I are talking about some intellectual things, you and I will bore each other in about 90 minutes flat, because that's when the brain runs out of glucose, right? It doesn't have any more depth in it, right? The real source of energy for all of us is the heart. It's what makes, and this is the spiritual heart, not the physical heart, obviously. And this is the heart that we know very little about these days. We live in our heads, we live in ideas, we live in things that we compute in our heads. But it's in our heart that the true source of our energy lies. And being able to connect to our own heart is important for a leader, because that's their source of energy. That's their source of clarity and purpose. It's what keeps them going when nothing else seems to be going right. And that's their own personal connection with their own heart. Then the connection between their own heart and of people around them. When you and I are talking, you're only partly paying attention to the words I'm using. You're also paying attention to how I'm speaking. But you're also paying attention to my presence. Right? You are connecting more to my presence than you are to my intellectual ideas. Right? And so if you and I are to connect, we cannot just connect on the basis of the numbers or the sort of the intellectual content of my commentary. You have to connect to my being, right? And as a leader, if I have to lead people into the beyond, into the unknown rather, not to the beyond, then I need to be able to connect to people's hearts, right? And that is the next thing that you need to do with the heart. The third is connecting the heart with the center of everything that is, all of existence. It turns out our conscious experience is a very thin veneer And the rest of our experience, our own personal bodily experience is unconscious. The rest of this universe itself is unconscious, unavailable to us consciously, right? The only way to connect with everything is through the heart, and that's why cultivating the heart is an important personal spiritual practice for every leader, be it a spiritual leader or a political leader or a business leader. Yeah. So, so Warren Buffett tweeted this out, or his account certainly did, which is, if you want to be successful, it's just this simple. Know what you're doing, love what you're doing, and believe in what you're doing. Well, here's the thing. The knowing is not about just intellectual knowing. Knowing is about the heart. Love is about the heart. And belief is about the heart. That's the success mantra of Warren Buffett's Twitter account, for sure. Right? All of them pertain to the heart. Very little of this has to do with the intellectual content or catching up with the news and every other thing that we actually pay attention to. Sure. Yeah, and we'll get to that when we talk about the math.
Mm-hmm. Now that's very important. I get it, and I think it looks like it can be contributed to success of. I would rather say when somebody starts a new venture, instead of running an existing company or a business, more of it is needed. Because if you do not connect with heart, you have everything to lose because you're not getting anything. You're starting from zero. So it's very important.
Yeah.
So this trait.
This lack of connection to your own heart and the hearts of everything around, that's why the man on the mountain is lonely. Like the Surgeon General of the US said a few months ago, there is a loneliness epidemic in the world. And 50% of CEOs are lonely, report being lonely. And that's again because they are unable to connect with their own hearts or the hearts of others around them. And this loneliness comes back in the form of low energy, low engagement, low enthusiasm for work, and low passion, low creativity, and frankly, low outcomes. So if you're a hardcore business leader and you do not know how to connect to your own heart, you are doing your business a disservice. Cultivating the heart should be your number one priority. Unfortunately, most people find it too late. That they now have to be courageous, fearless leaders who have to say bold things and take people into the future. Only when they get the crown on their head do they realize that they now have to be a completely different person. They may have climbed up the mountain being a numbers guy, but suddenly now you have to be a leader of people, and someone who's going into the dark with no data, no reference points, and suddenly it's all murky. So cultivating the heart is not something. Oh yeah. There's spiritual, in quotes, technology. There are spiritual practices in almost all traditions that are available. I come from the Hindu tradition, and I can tell you that the Hindu tradition is filled with spiritual tradition, whose very direct and unambiguous objective is to cultivate and grow the heart. Cultivating the connection with our heart, finding the heart, growing, enriching the heart, finding meaning, purpose, and centering yourself in your heart, connecting your heart to the center of everything that is, and finding nourishment and energy and empowerment from that connection. All of these are the subject of spiritual traditions. And especially in the Hindu tradition, techniques abound all around. Chanting, dancing, even prayer itself, gratitude, kindness, even laughing with people, connecting with people, or even dancing with people. All of these things are ways to expand the heart. Art itself is to connect with the heart. The new focus that there is on design is actually is important. If you look at a lot of the Silicon Valley disruption, it's led by better design. That better design comes from, again, this connection with intuition, with the heart itself, right? And art itself is a way to tap into your own heart. So doing things that you enjoy. is a way to find and cultivate the heart. There's so many ways to cultivate the heart. But in the rush to head up the mountain, we forget to carry these habits along. And it's often too late that we realize that this is the most important ingredient for success as a leader. And we haven't done it for 2 decades, and it's too late to start.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's very well said, Gaurav. We'll take a short break, and we'll continue our discussions in the next segment.